I know that you have just launched your scalable program to get yourself some time back, and I know that since we've been working with each other, you're completely fully booked. So I'm really grateful for the time that you've taken to have this conversation. And so just to start us off, then, in a few sentences, just introduce yourself. What do you do? Who do you work with? And we'll take it from there.
Awesome. Thanks, bud. Um, Lyanne Campbell is my name. My business is Blue Dragonfly Marketing Strategies, and my niche market is credit union marketers, primarily in Canada. So what I do is I help to level up the marketing in the organization by providing some strategic insight on how to move marketing forward from being a cost center to a revenue generator. Really just helping to answer the questions of why are we doing this? Who's the benefit? How are we making a difference? And how are we doing moving forward? So
Love,
really what
love that.
in a nutshell, I'm helping to lift up marketers and business leaders.
Brilliant. And I know that we started chatting on LinkedIn a little while ago, and I don't know if you can cast your mind back briefly, before you decide to join our program and work with me. Like, what were you trying to solve then? What were you trying to get done?
I knew that I wanted to develop an online course because there's only so much of me to go around. And there's, I wanted to be able to take what I know here and bring it forward to a lot more people. My way to be able to solve that problem was to develop an online course. I knew I wanted to do that, but I had never done one before. So I knew that I needed some support to figure out how to make it happen.
Yeah, and I'm actually curious then, where was your head at the time? Like, what was the most frustrating thing about knowing that you wanted to develop this more scalable online course to share your knowledge? Yeah, what made you think that this is something that I needed to start to develop?
I've had my business in place for 3 years, and this was actually something right out of the gate I knew I wanted to do at some point. And in my plan for the year of 2024, that was the year that I wanted to be able to. I had been working on a playbook for several years already. So I already had the knowledge on paper, so to speak. And I knew that I wanted to be able to take that knowledge from being on paper into an online course. I was just stuck on, okay, I can't just, here's the template, go. I needed to be able to figure out how to break it down into
Mm.
adult learning to be able to make it so that it was clear and comprehensible and easy to understand without me physically being there or virtually being there one on one.
Got it, right. So there's something about you having to like take yourself out of the picture a little bit that seemed important to you.
Yes, yes, to that as well as being very authentic while doing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a big part of it. You can get training all over the world, to be honest. And so, what would make this one different or better than the other? And I bring 30 years of experience in with it. So I wanted to be able to authentically deliver that with um, bumps that I've hit. Maybe somebody else could, and just to be able to work through all of that. And what are those, um, what we work through, right? To be able to clearly articulate the pains and the gains. I hadn't really thought through those kinds of things. And going through the process with UPED really helped me to be able to look at, like, I'm so entrenched and deep in this that I needed to be able to pull myself all the way back to the start and to be able to think of what was it like then. So when you said cast my mind back to
Right, right, right.
last year, well, now I had to cast my mind back to 20 years ago. What was it like then for me to learn? And
Yeah.
what and now bring it back to today because 20 years in marketing is a huge change and be able to say, okay, well, now today, what are the challenges that people are facing? Will this will this product help them to overcome some of that so that they can move forward smarter?
Yeah, got it. Yeah, it's all about being in service and having worked with you. I know that there's a lot of generosity and authenticity in the work that you do. So it seems that really the driving force was to continue to offer that personal touch, that way of lifting up marketing teams, but also giving yourself time back, if that
Mhm.
also kind of makes sense from what I've heard you talk about.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so what made you, I know that you were talking about these are the things that you wanted. What ultimately made you decide to work with me? I know that when we were talking at the time, there was a consideration whether to work with me or not, or maybe there was some other places that you were looking at. But what was it about me or the conversation that we had that made you ultimately decide that this was the program for you?
Honestly, Ted, you reached out to me through LinkedIn, and not very often do I accept those out there ones because I get lots.
Yeah.
And you know, I knew that this is something that I wanted to do. Going through your profile on LinkedIn, I could see you checked off some of the boxes of the things that I wanted. So I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. Half an hour, right? Let's talk and let's see. And we clicked. And we clicked. I had felt that connection to you right from the start, Ped. And when I know that somebody's going to have my back, you sense it, right?
Hmm.
And so I really wanted to know that somebody was going to have my back on this because I am always striving to learn, to know, to do better. My bar is continually, my goalpost, I should say, my bar, whichever way.
Whichever sport you're into.
Yeah. So, you know, it's something that was really important to me to have somebody at my back to help guide me because I'm working by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have other people that to bounce those ideas off of or to say, does this make sense? Or how can I do this? And you've provided a lot of that guidance along the way, really helping me to say, yeah, okay, this is good, but you know, it could be just a little bit better and really pushing and challenging me to
Hmm.
go that one step farther where I think, you know, this is good. I'm feeling really good about what I got. And then it's like, okay, no, actually, maybe it's not quite there yet. So just having that other person to challenge me. It's been amazing. I love it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. And I want to talk about that challenge a little bit, a bit more. I'm kind of curious then, just for the benefit of people watching this, what was it about our initial interactions or even my message on my profile on LinkedIn that gave you the trust that I had your back? And really, I'm touched that that came across back then because it's something that's really important to me too. But yeah, what was it that made you think that?
Um, Ted, it was you. Play just, you know, the way that you were presenting the questions, the way that you were asking. It was never a push. It was never a, boy, I got a deal for you kind of slimy salesman type of conversation. It truly wasn't like that. It was, how can I help you? And that was the underlying point of, you know, here's what we can do. You know what? Here's the framework. Here you go. Let's talk. You can have this framework. That's, you know, what you call in your course the appetizer, right? So that's, you know, how that was positioned. And I'm like, well, I'll figure out what this is about. And then honestly, you had some pricing changes that were coming up. And in order for me to act now, I wanted to be able to take advantage
Hmm.
of that lower cost because um, in Canada, when you convert Canadian dollars to US dollars, it's quite a bit different.
Yeah, there's the exchange rates get me all the time as well around the world. Okay, so you joined the program. I'm so glad that you did. Got to work with you and really enjoyed it. And you started to mention some of the things that you got out of it. Was there any one particular moment that you thought, yeah, this was the right decision that I made?
Yeah, actually, when I kept on being challenged, and personally, just really try. I know what I do,
Yeah.
and as a marketer, I think, well, you know, oh, you should just know how to do all the things, but marketing is a giant, giant field. And to think that you should be able to know how to articulate and get your message out clearly isn't necessarily a thing that I was really, really strong at. And so, how can I take what I'm offering and position it in a way that others are going to go, oh, yeah, that's it. And so, that was my aha is when I did the framework to
Mm,
be able to now here's what it is. And now here's the flow that I can walk through, creating that visual of the framework while somebody else might look at that and say, wow, well, that took you half an hour to maybe put that together. No, like there was a lot more to get to that point. And it was once I got to that point, now I had something. Now I can start talking to prospective clients
And
clear to be able to really say, here, we're going to do this, 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 and then this, this, this.
and what was the impact when you had those conversations with potential clients when you had the framework ready to present?
Yeah. So then, just in having some of those phone calls, so we did market research calls, and that was a part of it. So when I was able to circle back to those people that I had some of those market research calls with, I had that framework and said, hey, when I had talked to you, here's what I was working on. And now I could roll this through. And it was like, oh, this is really good. As a result, I ended up booking a few clients through there. So that was just in that process right there. It wasn't on the new course because that hadn't been developed at that point. It was on the full service piece. So that was
Yeah.
but just being able to clearly articulate and answer the questions of not only the person who's going to be doing the work, but also the decision maker, because they're not always the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that kind of organic being of service piece that you were talking about. That it seems like it aligned with just the way you want to be in the world and how you want to work with your clients. Now, you mentioned challenge a few times, and I want to just focus in on that because it's interesting what you're saying, and I think a lot of people could find this interesting too. You know, when we work with other coaches and consultants like yourself, oftentimes it's not that people don't know what to do. You know, you bring your own expertise. So in your case, you're bringing in marketing expertise. For other consultants we work with, it might be learning design, which is part of what we do together. Um, but what is it about that challenge that you found so beneficial?
I guess the challenge was helping me to rethink how, a little bit of that in that, what do they call that? The curse of knowledge. Everybody knows, everybody knows.
Yeah, but I would like for the benefit of
I
everyone
would,
watching this, how would you describe the curse of knowledge?
I would say the curse of knowledge is that I know how to do this. This stuff is this is breathing to me. So I don't think twice about it. And it was challenging to step out of that and say, okay, wait a minute. Not everybody understands or knows what this is. So how can I bring it to the point of, this is for everyone. If you already know this, that's fantastic. Excellent. If you don't know this, let's get you there. So I would say, yeah, some of that curse of knowledge. And then the other challenge that I would have is just being able to now articulate that in a way that is clear, that's empathetic, compassionate, knowledgeable to somebody that's not in the field.
Yeah,
And so that was one of the greatest values that I got with yourself, Ped, and Riley, is then to say, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, and to really get me to really took me a long time and a lot of conditions to get to the point of feeling really confident about here's what I'm going to present out and how I'm going to use my words to be able to message out.
and testament to you for being really open to receiving those feedback. I know that that I remember that process of you got the feedback, you implemented it, you listened again, and it was just like that iterative cycle of like a couple of weeks there. But as soon as that happened, it that the framework that you talked about, the clarity in what you're doing, who you're doing it for, why you're doing it, and how you're going to help people really shone through at that point. And it seems also that that's where there was a big acceleration of what happened next.
That's right. Yeah, I would agree. So for sure, just that first part there and really getting, and I teach this too. It's foundation, it's research, it's a big part of strategy. And I know this. Did I do it? That's something different. And so then, getting into doing some of those market research calls and really having those genuine conversations, which initially for me felt really freaky and scary because, for me to reach out and promote you, Ped, and talk about you. I could do that till from sun up to sundown. Is completely different and took me very by surprise, actually, when I started my business, of how hard it was to do it for myself.
Mm, yeah.
And that was a big mental thing to break through. So John helped with that. So you have other resources that you offer and other experts that you offer through your business
Yeah.
to help support. And so, just being able to break through some of those mind blocks, I'll call them,
Yeah.
if that's what it is, and some tools to be able to work through having those conversations and to be able to move forward. So that is something I'm going to continue to do as I'm evolving and growing, because I'm not stagnant. I'm always going to be striving for that next goalpost.
Absolutely. And yeah, just for the benefit of anybody watching. So John is our mindset coach, and I'm kind of curious if you're happy to share any of those blocks that got unblocked, any particular thing that you feel that in you feel like got unblocked and allowed you to do the things that you've gone on to do.
Oh, really? To step it back, and it's not selling. You're not selling. What you're doing is you're really looking to find out, is there a problem here? And what is the problem that you're looking to solve, and being able to understand, is what I'm offering going to help that? Because if it's not, it was really great to meet you
Yeah.
and chat and, let's have coffee sometime. But if there's something genuinely there that I might be able to help you with, then we can move on to that conversation
Yeah.
instead of, hey, I have this, and really
You want it? That
Oh,
classic one.
just that flow of going through. I'm not saying that I would ever call and say, "Hey, I have this is what I offer." Um, that's not the way it would be, but sometimes in your head, that feels like that's what you've got, and that's how
Mm,
and you're just talking about the product or service you have, instead of slowing the roll and saying, "Here, what you got going on right now?
yeah. Yeah.
What are your challenges? What's slowing you down? How are you feeling about the work that you do? How do you think others feel about the work that you do? Are you able to, like, if your board of directors came and asked you, hey, how is marketing impacting the organization? Would you feel confident in being able to say?
Yeah. Sounds, yeah, seems like it's very much part of being of service. We've talked about that earlier. It's like not about ramming something down people's throats if they don't want it, but just being genuinely like there for them. And that it seems like it very much resonates with the way you just operate in the world anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is definitely I would agree.
Wonderful stuff. And so where are you now? I know that at the beginning I mentioned that you've just launched your course and you're fully booked. So what's going on right now? Because I know that we had a catch up a few weeks ago, but I don't know. This is going to be new to me, fresh. What's
Well, I do have some full service clients. So as a result of some of those calls last year, um, of course, things don't happen like right now. There's a process and time to be able to move through this. And so at the end of December, I've got my dance card is full anyways until the summer, which is fantastic. So what I've done since then is I've got some full service clients, and I've also launched my digital course. And it's a cohort. So what that means is that here's all of the information. I've got the whole course done, all the videos, all the support material. And then we meet for a playbook power hour twice a week. So yesterday was the first meeting and it was great. The person who was in attendance at that call was talking about how they were able to flow through all the information. It all made sense. They were really excited about what they were doing. They're engaging others in the organization in the conversation, and we are literally 3 days in. 5 days, I guess. So, it's just really, it's very uplifting and exciting to hear the impact that this is making for that individual already so far. And so I'm just really excited to we're just getting going. So I wasn't really pushing too much on this first go. I just only honestly wanted a few people right away, and that's what's in there right now. And then come the fall, I'm going to start to push a little more to be able to say, here, this is more readily available. And then we'll see where it goes
I
from there.
love that. Yeah, I love that. You're really changing your business model ultimately from a one-to-one service to a, kind of a one-to-many service. And you, I know that in talking through what you're up to, and even just like lifestyle stuff. I don't know if you're happy to share. Why is it that you wanted to create this one-to-many offer, and what is it about that that helps you do some of the things that you want to do in your life?
Well, I love the summer.
Yeah.
I love and when the summer comes, I want to be in the sunshine and enjoying the outdoors as very much as I can. So this was an important thing to me to be able to serve more people more effectively and free up some of those summer months because in the industry that I work with in, a lot of the credit union marketers are also there's July and August are a bit of that lag time. And so how can I create that service offering that meets their needs and mine? And this just seemed like a really great way to be able to do that.
Yeah, amazing. And I've seen the rigs that you and your husband set up when you go camping or when you go on your
Yes.
bike trips and all that stuff. So that's really exciting to see what will happen this summer. And so what else is next for you? I know that you said you're going to relaunch in the fall, in the autumn. Any other plans that you've got in terms of the course or your offer or how you continue to use what you've learned?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm as we move through this year and see how it does with the credit union marketer. So this is really my niche focus. That's primarily, but the theory applies to any industry. And so I would like to circle back, start at the start again, do some of those market research calls and see how this aligns, because I believe it does with entrepreneurs or small business. And so I'd like to then start again. And what are your pain points? Like what's slowing you down? Where are some challenges to see if this type of an offer would be of value in their space? So that's where one of my next paths that I'm looking at exploring.
No, I love that, and I think it's such a natural, natural and organic way of growing services, growing a business. You're starting with a niche that you're very familiar with, validating a particular way of delivering that service, and then you've got choices, right? You've got a choice to go: do I continue to con continue to serve this niche, or do I see if this particular way of supporting small businesses applies to a slightly different niche? And I'm so pleased to hear that you'll be using the same approach. The market research approach it's the approach that it stares everyone in the face. It's so obvious, but it's not the thing that people always go down. The thing that I'm the expert, I know best. Let me put together this everything and go
Yeah.
and try and sell it. And yet, in this conversation, you just shared how natural it is to reach out and speak to people and go, "What are you working on? Can I be of any help in any shape
Yeah.
or form?" Right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of goes to what you were saying about, what is the curse of knowledge? Well, I've served in numerous roles in the credit union, so I understand it. And it felt like I knew how to best serve this market. So there's an example of the curse of knowledge. I needed to step it back.
Hmm.
It was good to give me some ahas, but also validation. So this way to say, yeah, you're on the right track, or here's a spot that you may want. So the one that really was an aha for me was I don't feel valued for the work that I do with others in the organization. Like, okay, well, that's a
Hmm.
big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Right.
How
Uh,
how increase your value?
yeah. Which is something that you wouldn't have necessarily. You could maybe brainstorm that, but when you keep hearing that over and over again from the market that you seek to
Yeah.
serve, that is what makes you stand
Well,
out in the crowd, because you'll be like, I get you. I know what's going on, and I know what you want to
Well,
happen.
it's interesting because I remember feeling that, but that was like decades ago and I had forgotten about it.
Mm,
But it's still real for those today if you don't have that, decades
yeah.
of experience in there. So I'm confident in my worth. I know what I can bring and I know the impact that marketing can make. And I'm going to bring you along with me. Whereas somebody that doesn't have that, It's like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to show
Mhm.
the value. I don't know how to show the worth. I don't know how to connect the dots.
Yeah, it's like, one thing which strikes me as you're talking, and it's something for me to remember as well, is when we have those conversations, it's about having that beginner mind. If you've come across that phrase, it's just
Mm.
putting aside any of our experiences, our judgments, our way of seeing things, and just being really to have that childlike curiosity, right? And in a way that leads me to my final question that I have for you. So, as we work with coaches and consultants who serve a variety of niches. If someone's watching this video right now, and they're on the fence about working with us, maybe they've had a conversation, or even the considering whether they should book that first call to get that strategy that you talked about. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to that person?
I'll use the analogy tough sledding going alone. So if you've ever um, got to experience snow and you want to go sledding by yourself and you're pulling the sled up to the top of the hill and you're hopping on that sled and you're riding it down, it's a great rush riding it down. But it is tough sledding when you're trying to keep on bringing that sled by yourself up to the top. So that would be the analogy. It's tough sledding when you're going alone. So if you're an entrepreneur, even if you have a partner in there, it's tough to have those outside minds. If you don't have those outside, it's tough when you don't have those outside minds, I should say, to be able to really challenge you and to push you and to get you to think outside of your walls. So
Yeah. Well, thank
that
you.
would
You
that would
so
be the value. I would say, it's reach out and have a conversation. Find out if the match is right, if it's aligning with what you're wanting to do, how you're going to accomplish those, and what's your big picture? What's your goal? And think about how you can do that. And there is an investment, absolutely. But measure out, wait,
yeah.
for this return, what are you hoping to get out of this investment?
Awesome. Yeah. And that's all, what it comes down to. There's going to be an investment in time and effort as well. And it's about making sure it's aligned with the goals that you have. So really appreciate you sharing that. Also sharing your story. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with you and seeing what you've created. Um, if somebody's watching this and wants to connect with you, where can they find you?
Oh, for sure. I would love to connect on LinkedIn. It's Lyanne Campbell and or my Blue Dragonfly marketing strategies are both on LinkedIn. That would be the best way to reach out. Or of
Brilliant.
course my website,
Yeah. Brilliant.
dragonflystrategies.ca, and definitely on there.
And we'll have that all linked. Okay, well, wonderful stuff, Leanne. Thank you so much for taking the time. We will leave it there for now.
Awesome. Thanks, Ped. It has been a great pleasure.